Hello everybody and welcome to the Homesteads YouTube channel. Today I'm excited to announce that my nuke package or Nucleus has finally arrived. So today we're going to go through the step-by-step process, a very simple process of installing them into your hive. So as you can see here, I have the smoker going. It's been going here for a couple of minutes and just drifting back over the colony, so they're all settled down in there. I'll give them a little puff to let them know that I'm coming. Nothing too intense, but let's open it up. Okay, so here we are. This nuke is come in a cardboard box. It has 4 frames and it looks pretty good. It's quite heavy, so I'm excited to open it up and take a good look. Before I start moving this into here, I'll let you know that if you've been following along, you'll know I had bees last year. Unfortunately, in Ontario last year, the average loss of colonies was about 70% in the province. Those are the statistics that are available online. And I was part of that statistic. We had some really up and down weather, warm early, and then a couple big blasts of snow that was the likely culprit that did all the damage to most of the colonies and beekeepers in the province. It caused a lot of condensation in boxes with the hot and cold and up and down, so that's likely what happened to mine too. I'm setting up in the same spot, and the last big snowfall we had drifted right over to the top here and covered up their entryway. So yeah, that was no good, and sealed the box off pretty much, and there was no airflow in and out of the colony. So that's likely what happened. Hot inside, cold outside, and the condensation evaporating off of them is likely what caused them to die. But basically I just cleaned up the whole inside of the box here, got all the extra wax off, and these 6 frames I've left in here, some of them still have honey in them, but in any case they're loaded out, they're built out on either side, and they have the foundations already laid, so they can just go in and the queen can start laying immediately. It's really late to receive a nuke. Generally you're going to get it by the end of May, and we're approaching the end of June, so everything was about a month behind. But we'll get these guys in, and we'll see how we do this year. So first I want to try and separate gently. Just moving really slowly and keeping the hive calm while you're in there. They're actually pretty loose, so they look good. I'm also, while I'm looking at them, I'm trying to see if there's any signs of you know, any infestation problems. Ticks or foul brood are very common. A good let's take a look here. A good beekeeper or bee yard will have sprayed your stuff down, so you shouldn't have too much to worry about. These have good amount of honey on this one and this one. I don't see any brood, but you're just going to want to slide them in nice and gently, and in the same order that you took them out. That's the way they've built their colony, so you're going to want to put them back in the exact same way. These guys are nice and calm though, which is good so far. Now I just want to take a quick look. I don't want them out for too long in case the queen's on here. I don't want her to fall off. There's a little bit of brood starting up there, so that's a solid. And a little bit there, so that's good. Got a couple drones. I'm just holding it over the nest so if she does happen to fall off, that hopefully she falls in the box. Not seeing any signs of ticks or anything attached to any of them, so that's good. Slide the frame over nice and slowly so anybody who's caught in between has time to get out of the way. And again, the smoke is just nicely drifting back over this box, which is keeping them all inside. This one's a little stuck. This is probably the most docile that you're going to have your hive to. When they're small, they're generally a lot calmer. They just have fewer bees that have been told by the queen to defend, right? So they should be nice and calm. And as your hive grows, it may seem as though they're getting more aggressive, but really what's happening is there's just larger quantities of bees, so there's more bees that are going to defend. You can see a few kind of buzzing around me maybe. There's a good chunk of brood. That looks good. Oh yeah, there's lots of brood on both sides of this, so that's good. Again, I'm going to take just a second to look and ensure that I'm not introducing any problems. I mean, you can't change what you have handed to you, right? What you purchase. But if you're getting a hive or a nucleus or a nuke and there are problems with it, then it's something that you're gonna, watch out bud, that's something that you're gonna want to talk to the beekeeper about and the place you purchased it, and hopefully, you know, they'll do something about it, provide some spray that you're gonna need. And quite impressed with how calm they are. There's only a couple hovering around. So this one's got some honey on it, which is nice. So they've got a little bit of store to get them through the first little bit. And with what I'm providing them, they shouldn't have any problems. So this is actually pretty heavily loaded with honey, so that's good. Didn't see the queen. That's okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking for her today. Space these out so they're all evenly spaced. You're okay, bud. There you go. Okay, roughly evenly spaced. Now I'm going to take the box. You can see that there's a few left over in there. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. The lighting. But again, I'm just going to look inside and make sure that there's no signs of ticks or mites or looks good. So I'm going to put it right over top. Give them a good bang. Get them all out. That'll get them a little upset, but that's okay. There's a few left. I'm just going to put them over here by the entryway. Hopefully they'll find their way in. If you see them coming out and going all over the place, then you may not have a queen. But these guys are all sticking close to their new home. They're exploring, they're coming in and out, so that's good. but I don't see them leaving. I see them slowly making their way in and down. So that's good. Normally in a hive inspection, I don't know if you can see this properly, but there's some burr comb on the top. I'd clean that off. But because I'm just introducing them, I don't want to upset them too much. Okay, there's the sign that the queen's in there. So I'll bring you over and I'll show you that. Take off my gloves here first. Hopefully they aren't angry with me and seek their revenge now. But, okay. So, right here, you can see a bunch of them standing there and flapping their wings. So that indicates to the other bees in the colony that the queen is in there. And they're saying she's right over here. Everybody come on over and we'll take care of her. So that's a really good sign. I know that I have a queen at this moment, so solid. And I'll just come back here. Try to get out of the sun, but you can see the burr comb that I was talking about on the top. It'll be about a week at least, maybe 10 days before I come in here and give it a second look, but I'll scrape all that off then. As I said, the ones here, the other ones I cleaned up, so they're looking good. And you can kind of see, hopefully, maybe not, you can see the yellow frames there that they're drawn out. Maybe I'll just pull one out. Normally they're not going to build on both sides of the outside frame, but there you go, that's fully drawn out on both sides and good to go. All of them are like that, and again, some of them even had some honey left over, so and it hadn't been robbed, so that tells me that my box is still in a good place and I didn't attract too many too many pests, no hornets or mother honeybees coming in and robbing. But here we go, they're starting to fly around a little bit. They're starting to explore. So yeah, that's about it. That's how you're going to install your package. Quick process, only took about 10 minutes. And without all the chatter, probably would have taken about 5. But again, I just wanted to give them all a good once over and make sure. Maybe another thing I'll show you here is on the bottom, I have a screen bottom board. I think ventilation is probably one of the most important things for your colony for when it's hot and when it's cool. They need it at both times of the year. But I cleaned that up and got everything off of that I could, scraped it off so that if there are any ticks or mites or any problems like that, they'll fall through and I'll be able to see them and I'll know what's going on. But it has dual purpose, right? So I'll just slide that back in. Yeah, so that's about it. Maybe I'll come over. I'm so happy to have these back. It was very disappointing losing them all. But I'll give them a little smoke and try to push them down in there so that I don't hurt any of them when I put the inner cover on. There we go. That's that. I'll just put this back on here. Sorry about the shoddy camera work. Actually, I'm doing that upside down. Nice and easy, nice and slow so they can get out of the way. There we go. I'll straighten that out after I'm done recording here. But you can see too, I don't know if you can tell, but I have the box on a slight forward angle, and that's so that if any moisture does collect in there, it's not going to run into the back of the box and stay and have to evaporate inside the box. It's leaning forward just slightly, a slight angle, so that any excess water when it rains or anything like that that finds its way in will leak forward and come out. But with the screen bottom board, that's likely not going to be a problem anyways. But there's an ant's found the box. But another thing with them being such a small colony, the entryway over here is all the way open. So I'm going to get a couple small pieces of wood, and I'm going to block probably 90% of that off, 85–90% of that off, so that they only have a small window to defend, a small entryway to defend, and that will give them a better chance at survival. And I'll just show you the old top cover I had here. Started to fail, and it was just some plyboard put together, really cheaply made by the last fellow that I bought the bees off of. But I mean, it did. I mean, it did the job. But I spent the extra 20 bucks. I probably could have made it myself with some tin and some wood and some time. But for $20, I figured it would take me more than an hour to build. So anyways, yeah, this one had seen better days, and the moisture was starting to get through the cracks and would be leaking down into the hive, so that might have been a bit of a problem. Not when it was really cold outside, but during the hot and cold, the snow melts might have caused some problems, allowed excess moisture to get in there as well. So I figured, what the heck, I'll spend the extra 20 bucks and bring it around here. There's my shiny new cover. It's got some tin on top. The wood's not painted on the outside, but maybe I'll get to that later. And yeah, so just slide that right on top here. Watch out, buddy. There he goes. So that's it. There we go. All done. All set up in their new home. Again, there's probably a few bees still roaming around in here, so I'll just put them right up here, put the box right beside the entryway, and give them the opportunity to find their way into their queen, their hive, their new home there. And tomorrow, or maybe tonight, I'll come out and check on them, and if this is all empty and they're all out of here, then I'll pull that out of there and get rid of it. You don't want, you can see here and around, there's a few scraps of wax and propolis and some of the old bees that died hanging around. So I'll probably tidy that up too. The less evidence you have of a hive. See down here, there's some wax on the ground right here. So I'll clean all that up, get rid of that, and you know, try to keep everything contained and as clean as possible so that I'm not attracting any pests. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you found this useful, you could give me a like and a share. I'd really appreciate that. Goes a long way to get some more viewers for our YouTube channel. And as always, any subscriptions are muchly appreciated. Really love what we're doing out here. And I think where we are is a perfect spot. You can see some weeping willows there that produce a ton of pollen, which is going to provide protein for the larvae. All throughout here, the backyard, it's a little wet, and there's a creek that runs along. If you followed along, you've probably seen that before, but there's a little creek, so they have tons of water. And right now, about 50% of my yard's covered in clover, so they should have no problem finding the nectar that they're looking for, and in the process, hopefully pollinate some more stuff in our garden. And next year, during the early spring, when all the plants are blooming, the fruit trees are blooming, we'll get a higher pollination count on our flowers and get more fruit production. But yeah, thanks again. That's all for today. So folks, have yourselves a great day. And if this is something you're interested in, it's a little pricey to get started, but in my opinion, definitely worth the money. And last year, they produced, you know, one new colony turned into a hive of 50–60,000 strong, and they probably had between 12 and 15 liters of honey in there by the time the flowers shut down. So this is something that you can do, and that takes care of itself for a little while. You need some input to help it out, obviously, from time to time, but you know, these are some amazing creatures that are going to provide you with a ton of health benefits. Okay, that's it for real this time. I'm signing out. Take care, everybody.